They work with me and with our attorney, Gail Fraser, on the memorializing resolutions that are prepared and adopted. There'll be some on tonight's agenda. Just so you have a little understanding of what I'm talking about, when we vote on each case, that is the action of the board. However, the law provides that our attorney must prepare a memorializing resolution, which is usually prepared and acted on within 2 weeks or so of the action of the board. And that is a very important document in the event that anybody wishes to take an appeal from what this board has done. Talking about appeals, let me explain something to you. If you are unhappy with anything we do tonight, any decision we reach, either because you are an applicant and your application was denied, or if you are an objector here tonight and the application was approved over your objections, you do have the right to an appeal. Given the ordinances in Millburn Township in particular, your appeal goes directly to the Superior Court of New Jersey Law Division in Essex County. And as a longtime practitioner in this field, and I'm sure Gail Fraser would endorse what I'm about to say, if you are going to take an appeal to the Superior Court, hire a lawyer. Don't try to do it alone. Not a good idea. Two other things. First, if you have a cell phone, now is the time to either turn it off or put it on mute so we don't get disturbed during the course of the evening. Secondly, if you have it on mute but you receive that vibration and you know that it's either a text message or an email or a phone call you absolutely have to take, there are 3 doors to this room. Please take your cell phone out into the hall, go to the back of the building, plenty of room back there for you to do your texting or your phone calls if you absolutely have to. One other thing, now that I think of it, we have one absent member tonight, and we only have one alternate, and the alternate is seated 3 to my right, has taken his place with the rest of the board. We do have a full board of 7 people. I don't know of any people who are going to be recusing tonight. When a case is called, if you have an interest in the case, as an objector, a neighbor, anyone who wants to really see what's going on and hear, please come forward. You can sit in the front rows to my left or right, or even at this table, because our alternate is not sitting there. He's up here with the board. If you sit up here, you can hear and you can see the exhibits as they are marked into evidence, and you can hear what's going on. It's very difficult to really hear back there when people have their backs to you, and there's a distance between you and the person speaking. These microphones that are placed around the room are recording microphones primarily. They're really not amplifying mics. So please feel free to come forward when a case is called in which you have a particular interest, or even if a case is called and you don't have an interest in it. Come on down and join us in the front of the room. Okay. With all of that said, we have some work to do before we actually turn to the actual cases that are being presented here tonight. we have two sets of minutes to be adopted. The first are the minutes of January 7, 2019. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? All right, if you were here that night, please feel free to make a motion to adopt the minutes of that night's meeting. Is there such a motion?
I so move.
Is there a second? Again, you have to have been here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes of January 7, 2019 are approved and adopted. Next, we have the minutes of February 4th, 2019. On these sets of minutes, I just want to say on the record that I had one change which I gave to our secretary, which is on the last page in the Vogel matter. It's on the third paragraph, first line. It now reads, would be voted on tonight if the matter would be adjourned. The word of was in there just as a typo. It has been deleted. Any other changes? Mary?
I have one on line 259 in the Singer matter.
259?
Correct. The sentence that starts, there is also a Norway spruce. We should be, there are.
Okay. Any other changes?
And line 341 in the Investors Bank matter, it reads, the sign will be black at night and face lit white at night. That should be, the sign will be black during the day and face lit white at night.
Do you have all those changes?
That one I got previously from you.
Okay, great. Once again, if you were here that night and the minutes indicate, I think that everybody who is here tonight, with the exception of Craig, was here that night on February 4th.
I don't think Steve was here.
Oh, that's right, you weren't. You were not here. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of February 4 as corrected?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of
Thank
February
you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes of February 4, 2019 have also been adopted. All right, we have three memorializations. I have indicated previously that Joy and Mary have worked very closely with our attorney and with me to put these into final shape, but are there any additions or corrections to the first one, which is calendar 3662-18, David and Mara Silber at 20 Randall Drive? Who's eligible to vote on this?
Mary McNett, Jody Sharma, Joy Siegel, Jessica Blatt, Joseph Steinberg, Wolfgang Tourist.
Will one of those individuals like to make a motion to adopt the Silber memorializing resolution?
I move to adopt the memorialization, the Silver memorialization.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mary McNett,
Yes.
Jody Sharma,
Yes.
Joy Siegel,
Yes.
Jessica Blatt,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg,
Yes.
Wolfgang Tourist.
Yes.
Next is calendar 3663-18, Kamat and Vaswani at 37 Tennyson Drive. Who's eligible here?
Same.
Same people? Any additions or corrections to that memorializing resolution? If not, is there a motion to adopt?
I move approval of calendar 3663-18.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mary McNett,
Yes.
Craig, Jody Sharma,
Yes.
Joy Siegel,
Yes.
Jessica Glad,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg,
Yes.
Wolfgang Jacutis.
Yes.
All right, the last one is calendar 3668-19, Investors Bank at 101 JFK Parkway. Same people eligible?
Yes.
Any additions or corrections?
I was actually going to suggest a change in line 96. The sentence reads, thus the overall size, scale, and appearance of the proposed new wall sign will not be significant in relation to the building facade. And I was going to suggest replacing the word significant with disproportionate, since the sign is intended to be significant.
Any other corrections or additions? Is there a motion?
Move calendar 3668-19.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
Mary Pat,
Yes.
Jody Sherman,
Yes.
Joyce Hill,
Yes.
Jessica Glad,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg,
Yes.
Wolfgang Jacutis.
Yes.
Okay, before we call the cases, I just want to indicate that the final draft of the 2018 annual report will be circulated to the board members prior to the next meeting of this board. All right, the first case we're going to hear, as I indicated, is calendar 3671-19, Forster, 2 Oval Road. Now, just so that there'll be no confusion among the audience, this was a matter that was actually heard by this board approximately 7 years ago. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You want to swear the witnesses, please?
Yes. Adam Forster.
Mary Forster.
Well, my name is Adam Forster. I'm here with my wife Miri. We moved to our house on Oval Road in the wonderful South Mountain neighborhood in 2005 from New York City. Have been very happy raising our kids in our community with its great schools and traditions. Our neighbors have become close friends, and we intend to be here for many years. We obtained a prior approval from this board around 2012 for essentially the same project, dealing with the same variants with a slightly different design. Around the time of our approval, my employment situation appeared shaky, and we decided not to proceed with the work. At that time, that approval has since expired. This time we are working with Klesse Architects of Short Hills to assist with the renovation design. We are seeking the same variance as before. We have an existing non-conforming variance. I believe this is called a C1 hardship. Due to our property being a corner lot and because Oval Road curves toward the house in the front, several parts of the front of our home are within 35 feet of the street, closer than the 40-foot setback required by the town for a corner lot. Similar to our prior variance request, we are staying within the existing footprint of the house as our renovation plans involve building up and not out. We have worked with Klesse to minimize the mass in the design. It is time to replace the roofing and siding. We have decided to move forward again with the renovation to do both at the same time. We believe the new design will enhance the South Mountain neighborhood overall and will serve as a greatly improved gateway house to our beloved Oval Road in particular. Thank you very much for considering our variance.
Are there any questions from board members?
Just one quick question. I noticed attachment E seems to indicate that the is currently conforming because the existing usage matches maximum allowable at 40 feet, whereas attachment F clearly indicates that existing usage is non-conforming at 35.47 feet. Is it the existing conforming or non-conforming?
It's non-conforming currently.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Is there anyone in the audience who has any questions of either of these witnesses?
We have a neighbor here who would like to speak for a moment.
Well, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this case? Come forward, please. Give your name and your address. Yes.
Yes, I do. My name is Roy, R-O-Y, Sauberman, S-A-U-B-E-R-M-A-N. My address is 3 Oval Road in Millburn. I just want to,
Where is your property in relationship to the property of the applicants?
my property is directly across the street, potentially most affected by the non-conforming issue. I just wanted to comment and bear witness to this board that the Forsters' application for their variance is, well, I believe, an asset to the community and to our neighborhood. I applaud them and their efforts and their thoughtful design for this home renovation. They've been extremely sensitive to my family's interests and needs and also other concerns from the neighborhood. They've always been had an ear towards hearing others' opinions and feelings before embarking on this project many years ago. And I think their patience in pursuing the project, I think, also speaks volumes to how carefully they've thought this out, and for the sake of both their family, but also for the neighborhood. And so I hereby wish to lend my full support for their application and hope that the board will see as such.
Are there any questions of this witness from the board? I have one question. Do you believe that this renovation, enlargement, and renovation will be beneficial to the neighborhood and to the streetscape?
I absolutely do. And
Right.
and also for the value of the town as a whole.
Is there anyone in the audience who has any questions for this witness? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this application? If not, I'll close the public portion of the meeting. Board members, anyone care to speak to this?
It's the same application that we approved before without any substantial changes, and I think that I could support it.
Anyone else?
Agreed.
I agree too.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second,
Mary McNabb,
yes.
Jody Sharma.
Yes.
Joyce Hill.
Yes.
Steve Stover.
Yes.
Wolfgang Capron.
Yes.
Mr. Black.
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
luck with
much.
your project.
Thanks for seeing us first as well. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go back to the agenda as you saw it when you picked up the agendas up front. So the next case is 306 White Oak Ridge LLC. The property is 306 White Oak Ridge Road.
Great. Good evening. My name is Matthew Posada. I'm with the law firm Skank Price. I represent the applicant that's here tonight, 306 White Oak Ridge Road, LLC, regarding the proposed variance application for the property located at 306 White Oak Ridge Road. The applicant is here tonight seeking to renovate their forever home by raising the height of the first floor, redesigning the second floor, adding a portico, and also with related site improvements so that the house itself is handicap friendly. In connection with the application, the applicant is requesting C variance relief for driveway setback, second floor setback, maximum rear yard on occupancy, and for exceeding the maximum permitted principal structures on a single lot. These requested C variances are all existing nonconformities which are not being exacerbated by the proposed improvement. Additionally, as you are probably already aware, the original application that was submitted to this board included D6 height variance. However, after considerable consideration and also revisions to the plans, the new application has a fully conforming height of 34 feet and 10 inches. Tonight, I will offer the architectural testimony of Chris Maseo and also planning testimony of Rich Keller in connection with this application. In addition, the applicants are also here in the audience in the event that the board would like to ask them any questions or concerns regarding the application. If I may call my first witness, Chris Maseo.
Yes. Christine L. Miseo, M-I-S-E-O. Yes.
Chris, can you please provide to us your educational credentials?
Sure. I am a licensed architect, planner in the state of New Jersey. I went to Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago, graduated in 1981. Subsequently received my architecture license in 1984 in Illinois, 85 in New York, and 86 in New Jersey. Have been practicing ever since in New Jersey. I have been before this board numerous times. I sat on the Livingston Planning Board for many years, and I do testify, professional testimony, in front of other boards in the state of New Jersey.
And is your license in good standing?
Yes.
Thank you.
Your qualifications as an architect
Yes.
are accepted by this board.
Thank you.
So Chris, did you visit the subject property?
Yes, numerous times.
Are you familiar with the property being the R4 zone district?
Yes,
Are you familiar with the township zoning ordinances?
yes,
Are you also familiar with the township's master plan?
yes,
Did you draft the architectural plans?
yes,
When drafting these plans, did you take in consideration the R4 zone and also the master plan?
yes.
Perfect. Can you please describe to the board the proposed plans?
Yes, I do have some revised plans that you might be interested in looking at. The footprint of the project and our existing non-conforming bulk variances has stayed the same. The only thing that is dramatically different is that we have lowered the roof considerably, so there is no D variance for any height variance. So the existing elevations have been changed to do a much lower hip roof instead of the very, very high-pitched gable roof that are on the drawings that you have. I don't know if I put these in evidence.
Yes,
Would you like me to mark these as well?
Yeah,
Yes,
they're
sir.
exactly the same.
Yeah, I'd rather, unless you all want it.
I want a copy.
yeah. And I'll take a copy too.
And you know what, I have numerous copies.
All right, so let's pass through
We'll,
these.
we'll pass them. I don't know how many
I think
are going there. I
and
don't
then,
know.
do you want one? I like to. You have one already?
Okay, so let me just clarify, because the original set was 4 sheets, and this set appears to be 3 sheets.
Yes,
The only sheet that's missing is A1.
It is the cover sheet that has the area map, the listing names, and whatnot. That has not changed. The other pages have changed. And I will go over the changes with you.
Counsel, before we get started here, there's something that I think I would like to clarify with our attorney. One of the variances that you seek are 2 principal uses on 1 lot.
Correct.
And I guess I have a question for you before we begin. Is more than 50% of the second house, the one you're working on?
Yes.
Is more than 50% of it going to be destroyed?
The footprint stays the same. We are going to be reworking the interior, but and the roof line, because it is a gable, the roof right now. To say 50% is gonna be taken down, probably not.
Gail, the question in my mind is, are we dealing here with a D variance, a use that is
No.
not permitted in the zone?
No, it's a pre-existing.
Well,
it's a
But it's
pre-existing
listed as-
condition.
It's listed as a variance, and I don't think there's been an application made for either under either subsection 70A or 70B. So there's no appeal for the designation of this as a variance, nor is there a request for an interpretation of the ordinance. Do you see this as a C variance or a D variance?
No, I see it as a C variance. I see it as a C variance. It's a pre-existing there's two structures on the property right now. There will continue to be two structures on the property
That's my point.
In
Why
the
is,
event.
why is the variance required at all?
because of the expansion.
Well, because the ordinance is not.
Excuse me, let's swear the zoning officer, please. Why did you conclude that a variance is required here?
Because I don't have my book with me, but the ordinance, actually I
You
do,
do have your book.
which says that there shall not be located on one lot more than one principal.
But there are two there now.
Correct, but they're modifying it.
Right. They're modifying one of those,
So
one of
reason-
the pre-existing non-conforming
I
structures.
understand that, but the reason I asked the architect whether there more than 50% of it is going to be destroyed or brought down is that my understanding is that if both of these structures remain on the property and neither of them is being changed by more than 50%, that no variance is needed at all.
I don't agree with that.
Because it's a pre-existing condition.
I'm not sure that I would agree with that. And the zoning officer has called it out as a C variance, and they haven't appealed that
They haven't
decision.
appealed it, I know.
So,
Okay.
We accept that as a bulk variance.
Yeah, we accept it as a bulk variance and would like to pursue forward as pursuant to the C1 and C2 variance relief necessary.
Proceed.
If I could, the architect indicated there was no change to the first page, is that right?
Yes.
But the first page of my new packet has information on split level housing, whereas the first page of the old one does not.
but wait a second, the first page of both sets is the title and topographic survey. So when Ms. Museo talks about the first page,
I'm
she's
sorry.
actually talking about sheet A1 on the original set of documents,
Okay.
which is the second page in the package.
I'm sorry. So it's the page that has the area map, the
Right.
list of property owners, the photographs and whatnot, that page is not changed.
Okay, thank you.
My SP1 page that has, Casey and Keller's survey on it, one of the main additions to this page would be our new height calculations. These calculations were prepared by Mr. Keller, and they designate that with the new roof heights and new structure, that we do not need a variance anymore for our roof heights. The other things that have changed are a couple numbers in the zoning table that also refer to the roof height, and the variance designation at the height has been removed. That's pretty much the only change on this page. On page 8.
Wait, before you leave that page, I'm looking at SP1 in the original set and SP1 in the new set. And I don't see any revision date.
Right up here, there should be a 3/4/19 revision date in the middle of the page, right below my signature. I see that.
On SP1?
Yes,
Right, almost in the middle of the page.
in the middle of the
Oh,
page,
yeah,
right
yeah, yeah,
below my
right here.
seal.
Oh, March 4th, 2019?
Yes.
Okay,
Are we entering you, that means that the-
A1.
Yes.
Can I
The elevation, page A2, you can see is dramatically different from what the old drawings were. We had a much, much higher roof, almost 4.5 feet taller. What we did is we decided to do a hip roof on the house, bring the whole thing down, and be 100% conforming. The main house, the footprint, is this portion of the house. Our add-on for this house, other than changing the roof line, would be the carport in the front of the house. The carport does not need any bulk variances that maintains any side and front yard setbacks, so that does not need any bulk variances. The existing house.
The carport, the reason for that is for the accessibility.
Yeah, and the convenience, because the garages are at the far end of the property, and it just will make life much easier for the owners. Under the carport area, we do have a ramp that will get to the main level of the house. The property pitches to the rear, so at the front of the house, which would be this elevation, we have the front door is the lowest to the ground. And as we go to the rear of the house, you can see that there's many more steps to the back. So what we did is we put the carport to the front, so we're only up about between 15 and 20 inches, so to run a ramp up will be much easier. The footprint of the house is this perimeter, except for one little notch where the stairwell is. If you take a look at my front page with the site plan, you'll be able to see where the existing house ended. There was a small notch. What we're doing is we're filling in this notch. This notch does not exceed any setback or variances. The main area of our variances are along the right side or the west end of the property, and that has to do with side yard setback. Also, our non-conforming unoccupied rear yard because the garages are so far back. And then also up front, this is the existing driveway that is also existing non-conforming because it's less than 5 feet from the property line. The existing driveway continues, and you can just allude to, you can see it just alluded to, is that there's a gravel driveway along the property line and even going onto the other property to the west of us. We are removing that, removing the porch, and removing all of this so that we are as far as possible away from the existing property line other than the main house. So the old driveway went over the line, we're removing what's over the line, and then skirting the driveway around to the other side of the house. Our lot coverages, our building coverage, our FAR, all are under the required sizes for the zone. I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Can you please describe the building materials as well for this?
Sure. The main house is going to be a hardy board or a cement board, composite board, horizontal siding. The roof over the carport and the small dormers in the roof are going to be standing seam metal. The main roof is going to be dimensional asphalt shingles, and then we are going to run just a very small stone water table along the existing foundation. Much that is still rubble now, and we're just going to fix it and put new stone in front of it. And that pretty much sums up the house.
I have no further questions for this witness.
The driveway, the gravel driveway that's being removed, that's gonna be returned to a grassy area?
Yes,
What the plans show as a portico addition, and you've been calling a carport, this is somewhat in the nature of a porte cochere, correct?
yes.
Okay.
What is the use going to be made? What use will be made of the barn?
It'll be a garage. The owner collects cars and he has some, wants to do a little tinkering. He can testify to that also, but he wants to be able to utilize that barn. We're going to just fix it up, paint it, clean it up, get rid of any dry rot, and keep it a garage in the back.
It's a garage now.
Yes, it is.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
On SP1, you have the two-story addition, and then there's a line. What is that referring to? It doesn't have an arrow at the end of the line. What portion of the house are you referring to?
This piece right here, that you're talking about, that little hatched area,
Just that's two-story.
yeah, that's the only thing where,
That's an addition.
the house is existing 2 stories, and what we
Right.
wanted to do is just square off the house, and that'll be 2 stories that
Okay.
line up with the rest of the
All
house.
right, my other question, I'll add a few more, but it says porch addition, and according to SP1, the porch spans the entire width of the front elevation, but if I look at your new elevation on A2, front elevation, it doesn't seem to appear.
It will continue all the way across,
Could you show me on
and
the
it
elevation?
will tie into this roof line. I'm not gonna have the roof shed up, it'll just tie into
So
the
it's not
roof.
there, but it will be there.
Yes.
So the drawings that you're showing are not what's gonna be built.
No, you didn't understand what I said.
No, I didn't.
This area here is going to cut back. I didn't want this kind of a look going on, so this piece of the porch is going to tie in with this. I didn't want that look, so the main porch is gonna look like it's here, and then we are not gonna have this cut back. This will be just a hip piece that comes
Okay.
along, so it will.
No, I understand. Okay, then my other question is, you were asked before by our chair if 50% or more would be changed, and you said no, is that right?
Well, the interior is going to be gutted, the footprint is basically staying, and we're going to rehab it, and then the roof is going to be taken off. So, if, in our 50%, are we talking about the exterior or the entire, house? I mean, what I've had some, experience in town is that it's usually the perimeter that they're talking about for the 50%, not necessarily what's gutted inside. If you say it has to do with what's gutted inside, yes, then we're gonna be taking down more than 50% of the house, but not 50% of the exterior walls. What we're going to be doing is sistering whatever we need to sister, and keep the existing structure as much as possible.
With reference to that sheet that you're showing with the survey on it, can you show us where the driveway is too close to the property line by 1 foot?
It comes down here. Mr. Keller will better be able to testify to that. He has.
Rich Keller, he has an exhibit that specifically outlines what encroaches and what does not.
Right.
And he'll better be able to testify.
And that's true of the second floor setback as well?
So the
Okay.
second floor step back, the house comes,
It's an existing house itself.
the existing
Do you
house.
have existing drawings of the house, like for us to see, like demolition drawings?
I don't have them with me. We have photographs of the existing that we can show you.
Yeah.
No, I've been to the house, but I'm just talking about drawings, because it's hard to know what 50% means, right, but it would be easier if it was visual.
Well,
Given that our planners will further explain that issue, trying to clarify that convolution.
let's put it this way, if it makes it easier for you to understand, because we are going to be gutting the interior of the house almost exclusively, then yes, we're gonna be taking more than 50% of the house apart.
I'd like a little testimony as to the nature of the property next door that is affected by these two variances?
Mr. Keller better be able to testify to that.
Okay.
His planning testimony.
Are there any trees impacted?
I don't believe so. There's an existing driveway here, and there really are no trees per se along here. I don't believe we are taking any trees down. If there are, it's minimal.
A question. When I visited the property, I noticed that the mailbox near, the mailbox on, in front of the house to the lower left, that's at 306. But there was a mailbox at the end of the driveway that belongs to the subject, the property that's going to be taken down. It says 302. Have these properties, were they combined at some point, or? It seems like they're separate addresses.
I believe they were.
They
Okay,
were, but
Mr.
our
Keller will
planner
be able
will
to
clarify
testify to
that as
that.
well.
Okay.
Any other questions for this witness by board members? Anyone in the audience have any questions of the architect? Next witness.
Thank you.
Yes, I do. Richard Keller, K-E-L-L-E-R.
Rich, can you please state your educational credentials?
Yes, I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Rutgers University with a declared concentration in water resources and environmental engineering. And I also hold a master's degree in architecture with the declared concentration in urban planning and design. And that is from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, where I was also an adjunct professor in both the graduate and undergraduate divisions for approximately 11 years.
Have you appeared before the Billboard and Zoning Board in your past?
I've appeared before both of the boards, as well as all 23 communities in Essex County and about 110 throughout the state of New Jersey.
And is your license in good standing?
They are still in good standing.
Thank you.
Qualifications as a planner are accepted by the
Thank you, sir.
All right, Rich, have you visited the subject property?
Yes, I have on numerous occasions.
Okay, is it within the R4 zone district?
Yes, it is.
Are you familiar with the township zoning ordinances?
Yes, I am.
And you're also familiar with the township's master plan?
Yes, I am.
Did you review the proposed project in tandem with the R4 zone district requirements and also the township's master plan?
Yes, I did.
Is it your professional opinion that the proposed project is consistent with the intent and purpose of the township's zoning ordinance and master plan?
Yes,
Can you please discuss the proposed application for this board?
certainly. I'm going to put, before I get going, because I hate to slow down, and because I was admonished last time, we did bring some exhibits.
Thank you.
Handouts that mirror, happen from different directions.
Thank you.
And I guess we'll mark, the photo board as A4.
A4?
Did we do each individual? Or
No,
did we do?
we just did A1.
Okay.
So this is A2.
A2, and then the photo board, just as noted, all photos taken by Mr. Incorporated, those are three photos on the left. And at the center is a satellite image from taken.com. Image was dated April 22nd, 2018. I took it on that date, I was doing because it's the best opportunity in early spring to see the property. That's your tree cover. And then it is to a scale that I have is a 1 inch to 30. It's approximately 1 inch to 60 on the handout. And then I also have A3. And A3 is a colorized version of our title and topographic survey, part of which was shown on Chris Maceo's drawing. The drawing date is 4/19/2017. The latest revision is today, 3/4/19. And the revisions that were added today is I color-coded, apparently it's the mysteries of AutoCAD. When we sent our AutoCAD files to Chris Maceo, one of the layers, which was the edge of stone, dropped out. So it was hard to see where the stone limits were. So what I did is on the survey, I color coded them in 3 colors. One is the blue is the existing driveway that exists on the property, and I should have sized that down a little bit. So that's the existing driveway in the front and back. The reddish color represents approximately 1,000 square feet where the gravel driveway
I'm
approaches.
sorry, you're saying A3 has a revision date on it?
Oh, I didn't hand it, I'm sorry. A3 has, last date is 5/1/2018. Forgot it, I don't know what I handed out. So the latest revision on what you have is 5/1/2018.
Oh, okay.
And it says spot elevations added. Since I don't usually do handouts,
I know.
I was updating on the fly.
Okay.
So the red portion represents about 1,000 square feet of gravel that encroaches onto the neighbor's property. It's about 150 feet long and encroaches as much as 11.2 feet over onto the property to the right. And that is how access was previously acquired to the frame barn, which has been used as a 3-car garage in the past. There are 3 barn doors, and there's a 1 glass barn door that is actually too narrow to fit a car. So there's an existing, the frame barn acts as a 3-car garage now. But it was accessed by coming down on the right or west side of the house, encroaching on the neighbor's property. And as Chris Maseo said on her proposed drawing, that'll be rerouted through the porte cochere and around it in the back. But I wanted to create this exhibit just to show you the yellow is all being removed. The red is also being removed as an encroachment, and portions of the blue existing driveway will remain as consistent with Chris Maceo's drawing. All in all, there's about another, within 5 feet of the property, there's about another 660 square feet of gravel / broken bituminous that's being removed. I would point out there are 2 locations where the remaining driveway are less than the 5 feet required. One is at the back near the frame barn, where, as indicated on Maceo's drawings, there's a 4-foot setback. The driveway, which meanders along to gain access to that porte cochere, we're removing a portion in the front. That's going to remain at about 2 feet offset. So we will not be in the front to get access, to line up the addition on the front, get access to the porte cochere. We couldn't offset them to 5 feet, but we were able to pull that back to more than 2 feet off the property line. Again, representing a net reduction of about 1,666 square feet of gravel / broken up pavement that's either within 5 feet of the line or over the line.
Before you move on, what is the yellow shading?
The yellow is existing gravel and broken up bituminous area that's being removed completely. And this is really meant to be a document of the existing condition, not the proposed. So the 3 colors represent the total amount of pavement that's out, or gravel and pavement that's out there now. This Maceo's drawing does show that we're also reducing some on this side, that's well more than 5 feet off the property line, and realigning the driveway further out. This is not intended to be a site plan, but just have the board understand, because the gravel line was missing, what the extent of the existing driveway location is, and which parts will be removed as part of this application.
Okay, I guess that sort of leads partly to my question, because on SP1, the driveway configuration at the front of the property.
Yeah, it's gonna be narrowed, again.
No, I mean all at the street. At the street point, it looks like it comes right to the property line.
Yeah, I think Ms. Maseo was guessing because that line disappeared in the CAD file. So I would say the intent is fully for the first 100 feet is to follow the exact location of the existing gravel driveway. So whatever the offset is now, that'll be maintained. So the driveway on Ms. Maceo's drawing, we're not moving it closer as in comparison you might presume. Again, because that 1 line was missing, I think Chris's office was kind of guessing where the driveway is. It was labeled, that's what she said, was kind of amorphously just labeled gravel driveway, because it was missing the 2 lines that define it. So the stem of the driveway, for more than the first 100 feet, will remain exactly the same distance off, and as it gets towards the.
Which is what distance? I'm sorry, but I know you're
No.
asking for a 4-foot
Yep,
driveway setback, and it seems like it's less than that.
so, yeah, it is less than that. So, for the first 117 feet from the street, we're utilizing the existing driveway, which ranges from 2 foot to 3.75 feet off the line, and then starts angling towards and ultimately going onto the adjacent property, tax lot number 26 to the west. So at about that 117-foot distance, we're proposing to remove that gravel and create an edge that's 2 feet off the property line that allows that driveway to turn and come into the proposed portico shed. So that's where the yellow part is what's being removed, and then the red part is on the neighbor's that is being removed.
So the actual setback being
2 feet in the front
proposed
yard, 2 feet
is
in the
2
front yard.
feet, not
Well,
4 feet.
2 feet in the front yard, 4 feet in the backyard, correct.
Is that consistent with their notice, Eileen?
The notice says 4 foot, it actually
Yeah.
quantifies it as 4 foot.
It says 4 feet, but it has a catch-all provision.
So that,
If I'm
the
correct.
setback is less than they've asked for.
They've asked for 4.
They've asked for 4, and they're now saying they need variance for 2,
Because I went.
which is inconsistent with the notice.
Well, that would be.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I went according, I had Chris's plan.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
that's what was presented to me.
So we would ask that the catch-all provision in the notice.
That doesn't cover a variance that you needed from the outset and neglected to notice properly.
It's gonna be tight, but we will, make the concession that in the front yard, at no point will the proposed driveway be less than 4 feet back.
Okay. I mean, it might mean you have to shift the driveway over a little bit and spend a little bit more on pavement if you need the
It's
Need
not
the
a
width.
pavement issue, it's really the alignment into the portico share will be a little tighter, and we didn't wanna shift the portico share to be asymmetrical with the house, but we'll make it work at 4 feet.
Okay.
But we don't normally, like, quantify the net, the notice is like.
Exactly.
Rich, can you please explain to the board the requested variances?
One last thing I wanna just go over by way of, a little bit more background on the property. You've been to the site, you know it's about, on the opposite side, about 200 feet, 210 feet to the west of the entrance to Hero Park, to the swim pool and fire station number 2. It's about 1,000 feet from Parsonage Hill Road, and about 300 feet from Briarwood, further to the west. The lot immediately to our west is a residential property. It's actually owned by the Short Hills Country Day School, which is part of the Pingree school system. That's a wide lot. That house is biased to the far side of the property, from eave to eave. So actually, foundation to foundation will be larger. Eave to eave is about 106 feet between the nearest residential dwelling to the east and the subject property. If you look at photographs, photograph number 1 was taken from the entrance. You can see there are trees lining the driveway. The house sits about 171 feet back, 171, 175 feet back from the street, nestled in the trees. Photograph number 2 shows the relationship between the Pingree School property on the right and the subject property on the left, looking from the street. And again, just to show the level of renovation and change, the rather nondescript front facade of the existing house is in what says photograph number 1, but it's actually photograph number 3 on the bottom. With regard to the subject property, To the left of us is about an 85-foot wide property, also with two single-family homes on it, one at the front and one at the front, one behind. And there's an older, this area 15 years ago, we used to call this the old farm area, because a lot of these were old farmhouses, and they're of that vernacular, 1925, 1928, and there were a number of lots that had two houses on them. There's been a slow progression starting from Parsonage Hill Road of those lots being converted into largely garage courtyard homes, because they're narrow lots, some of them are narrow lots, and that housing type fits on there. So you've got a mix of the older types along with the larger sort of McMansion homes that line further up towards Parsonage Hill Road. The subject property does have two street addresses, but it's been one lot for as far as we could track down on the tax roll. So it's been one lot with two existing dwellings on it for as long as we could go back through the tax rolls. But it does have two street addresses, and that's really just for mailing purposes. Lastly, to the south, or the top of the drawing, is also the primary property of the Short Dispensary Day School. You can see the field. This is subject to an application that's before the planning board actually this Wednesday, where they're looking to turn this into a turf field and put a parking lot approximately 75 feet off the back of this property. One of the things about the parking lot is that as part of their plan, they're coming in with a relatively generous buffering plan of landscaping that will sit between the parking lot and the parking lot lighting and the back of their lot, leaving most of the existing trees in that 75-foot buffer where possible. So there is good screening existing to the west, or the house on the right, which is part of Pingree. There is excellent screening to the rear, which will make, assuming that plan is approved in some form or fashion, we'll have a landscape plan which will further buffer the property from any activities to the rear. As to the location, it sits way to the back of the property, which we all know, as soon as you see a house that sits to the back, you almost know you're going to have a problem with rear yard unoccupied as an existing condition. But I would say it's really part of the character of this neighborhood to have these front and back houses. This house is being, while it's being added to, it's really, its location is already part of the character of the neighborhood. And actually, we think, and I'm getting almost to my proofs here, we think it's actually a benefit to the community to have a smaller home rather than a tear down with a larger McMansion. It provides for a variety of housing types by keeping a smaller home at the rear on this property. The property itself is 54,954 square feet. In the R4 zone where 20,000 square feet is required. So we're 1.75 times the required size. So, easily, if the zone expects one house for every 20,000 square feet, we've got about one house for every 27,000 square feet. So we're certainly not an over-intensification of the neighborhood by allowing us to improve and redevelop the existing home. The lot is 175 feet wide. The zone requires 100 feet. So it is an oversized dwelling.
Oversized lot.
Oversized lot, correct. The house that's on the left side, or the east side, was actually recently renovated by the owners. It's been spruced up quite a bit and made much more attractive, but not expanded. And that's why they didn't have to come to this board, because they worked within the existing shell. The existing house unfortunately does sit 8.38 feet from the Pingree property line. And that includes the second floor. So we're looking at expanding that run along between the 8.38 and the required 22-foot setback. We're looking at expanding that second floor, and that necessitates another variance. So we need variances then for the fact that we've got two principal uses on the property, and we're expanding one of them. We also need variances for the second story side setback, where 22 feet is required, for 8.28. Supposedly 8.28, so again, there's no change. The extent of the variance is 13.60 feet. It's really, we're just adding some more mass along that line. The rear yard unoccupied is unchanged, but as I said, because the house is so far set back, once we strike our rear yard line and we take out all the driveway and barn/garage, we're left with slightly less than the 25% required. We're existing at 22.9, and even though we're taking out some pavement, we're adding some pavement, it works out to be balanced exactly at 22.9 proposed. The extent of the variance is about 1,100 square feet or 2.1%. and as indicated, the driveway setback required is 5 feet. Existing is 0, actually negative 11.2, because we go on the neighbor's property by 11.2 feet. We're proposing that to be at 4 feet, we'll hold 4 feet. That way it aligns with the garage, and that's really the minimum we can keep that driveway off the property line and still get access into the portico share without really, I think, upsetting the aesthetics of the architecture. Again, as the architect said, it's notable that we are still way under on building coverage, lot coverage, and FAR, which are the three metrics we generally look at to make sure we're not over-intensifying a design. And so with that, we're well under. That includes both houses, all the garages. We're still well under on FAR. I think FAR was at 11.7%, and 26 is allowed. Building coverage with all four structures, we're at 8.3%, where 14% is allowed. And lot coverage, we're at 17.2%, where 35% is allowed. So we're well under in terms of the intensity of the use of this property. We think that all of these variances could be approved under C1 of the municipal land law 4055, B70, C1. Where we have an existing condition of 2 dwellings in the property, and the lawfully existing location of the rear house creates a hardship in upgrading that structure without the need for variance relief. With regard to the uses, again, multiple uses exist. With regard to, and both are permitted, by the way. With regard to the side yard, it's an existing side yard deficiency. You cannot possibly maintain the existing structure and set in the second floor 22 feet off. It'd be, there's just no way to structurally do that, and it would look rather goofy if you tried to do that. It would necessitate complete destruction of the home. Rear and occupied, because we have an excessive front yard and small rear setback, creates the need for a rear yard unoccupied deviation. There's no change in the extended variance resulting from the proposed changes the architect has drawn. And the driveway location, to relocate to 5 feet would really hinder the use of the back garage, and it would also hinder our ability to turn into the portico share that's going to have to the front, which helps in terms of handicap accessibility. With regard to the, so I think under C1, clearly there's hardships created by the existing conditions on the site. With the negative criteria, we obviously need to demonstrate that there's no substantial detriment to the public good, and there's no substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the master plan. And I think that in this case, not only is there no substantial, I think there's really no detriment, given what's existing there today. With regard to the multiple uses, as I said, the lot is 2.75 times the required lot area. So we've got roughly 1 dwelling unit per 27,000 square feet. So it's not an over-intensification of the zone, contrary to the ordinance. Or notwithstanding the deviation. The side yard, it's limited in visibility at 145 feet from the street in proposed condition. The part that's 2 stories is closer to 160 feet back from the property. And it's an existing condition that while we are intensifying it, there's really no negative impact on the neighbors' enjoyment of air, light, and open space, because we do have 106 feet between the two at the eaves, and there's generous landscaping areas between them that will limit that view. With regard to rear and unoccupied, the house has been at this location and is part of the established character of the neighborhood. The technical variance with no change. We also see no impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance. It's a significant aesthetic improvement, that being one of the goals of our master plan, as well as zoning. It's the environmentally correct response. While we are changing a lot, we're still not taking the old house, crumpling it up and dropping it in the dumpster. It's the green initiative. Lead-driven design urges that we renovate or adaptively reuse existing structures. And I think that's, the applicant should actually be applauded for taking what's a modest footprint and making it more usable, but not tearing it down and doing a much larger column to the street. We think that it's a positive that we're bringing the site closer into compliance with the elimination of encroachments on the adjoining property. We're providing handicap access to the front and a generous first floor bedroom, which can be turned into a first floor ensuite, so that the owners can age into the property, or if one gets sick, they can be on the first floor. So it's really a housing typology that is necessary in the community and sought after, but yet in still a small footprint. And again, really ties into providing a variety of housing types by providing a smaller footprint with that handicap access and first floor ensuite. We think that clearly there's no detriment to the character of this part of the neighborhood. We think it's a significant aesthetic improvement. We think it's positive for the community. We think it can be approved under both positive and negative criteria of C1. And we ask that you approve it.
So, with regard to the second floor setback, you talk about adding mass. I just want to make sure I understand. It's already a two-story home.
Correct.
It's going to remain a two-story home, but because we're increasing the building height from 29.3 feet to 34 feet 10 inches, that mass is the difference between those two numbers.
There is some mass that's there. The primary mass, if you look at the front facade, the primary mass is set back at a certain distance, and it stops at about 3/4 to a little further back on the house, and then we're expanding that roof line that's coming up. So we're extending some mass along the rear, for the rear of the home. Again, this is a 30. So at the rear 12 feet of the home, there's some mass being added towards the back of the house, not the front. And then towards the front, since we're filling in a portion of it, a small portion of about 9 feet that we're also pumping up that.
But that's on the left side.
That's all on the right side.
Right.
On the right side, you've got a small area in the front and about an 8-foot section in the front, about a 10-foot section in the back, where we're raising that gutter line slightly. So we are creating some more mass along that line.
So okay.
Well, how come I'm not seeing that
Yeah.
on SP1? Because it gives the appearance that
It's two-story.
it's
all the way.
two-story.
And
Exactly.
SP1, a land survey generally doesn't show roof lines, it shows the footprint.
That's not the point. It's
Yeah,
written
the point
two-story.
is, you know,
Yeah, but it is a two-story.
Not originally, not all of it.
No, well, not all of it, but the home is still considered, for zoning purposes, a two-story home.
Okay.
Even though not all of it is two-story.
Okay, so then I have a question, because it's not adding up to me, the FAR. If I look at what's the existing FAR, and I know you don't need a variance for this, but it still seems like a very, maybe I just don't get it. It says existing is 11.1, okay? And then I said you're proposing 11.3, which is the difference of 173 square feet. If you're adding a second, part of the second floor, it's way over 173 already, because you have the portico and the porch. Like, I don't know where that how can it be only 173 square feet of living? FAR has to do with living, occupiable, right? Habitable.
Yes.
So how could they only be 173?
This is the one that look at the revised one, which is 11.7.
Yeah, so 11.7. So what is
I'm consulting with the architect because I didn't do the calculations.
okay, fine.
So,
No.
Here's just 3/4 right? 3/4
They're talking about this.
Are all these exhibits the same?
We just found like a discrepancy in the one that you handed out that was updated 3/4/19. Mine says proposed 11.3. For some reason his says 11.7. I don't know what it should be. But how did I get this one that has you updated with only 11.3?
You know, the date 3/4.
19, I did. Well, you look at mine and it's like
I
11.3.
think we've got two different versions up here.
let me see that.
Okay, so even if it's 11.7, I still think it's way
where
off.
this comes from. One says 11.7, one says 11.3.
Both mine say 11.3.
There's additional information supposed to be here. I guess I don't have it.
That's the one that's being replaced.
Oh, that's the old one.
That's the old one.
No,
No,
it
it
wouldn't,
says
no,
there's
it's not,
a date,
because it
but
has the date on it, that, right under her
Let me
seal.
give you, for some reason, this one,
So
you
what's
should
the
not
number
have
ne-
this
so
one,
what's
you
the
should
number-
have that. It's
what's the-
11.7.
So what would that be, 6483?
Does everybody have on the new three-sheet revised plan, up in the zoning table box? The FAR proposed should be 11.7%, 6,483 square feet. Does
Yes.
everybody have that?
This is the correct one.
Okay, so given the correct one,
Jessica,
that
do
would
you
be
have this?
393 square feet.
I'm taking your word for it, just to get the
Okay, good, that's fine. So how does that add up if the carport is 552, or,
The carport is in an FAR,
Yeah,
right?
the-
So-
but
Porte
how about,
cochere
but
is
how
not in
about,
there.
what are you adding on the second floor? That's kind of what I don't understand.
That,
Because it's hard to see from
Yeah,
the
I mean,
drawings
we
without
can't
a
tell from the
demolition
drawings what
plan,
you're
there's no
adding.
existing.
an
I need-
area that's being added and then a piece in here.
I know this is totally not there, but according to what I see in the aerial view, it appears that this area here is
My-
all one story.
What we're proposing, the numbers of what we are proposing are the exact numbers, and what I'm anticipating from the mistake in my numbers is that the second floor, that this number of the existing second floor.
Wait, you can't say this number, you
What
have
I
number?
to,
just, well, the
it
second
has to be
floor-
caught by the tape and
Yes,
the
I know,
court
I'm just
reporter.
gonna-
So you can't point and say this number, you have to identify the
s-
number.
The existing second floor square footage is on my drawings, I believe incorrect. The proposed square footage is correct. So,
At 840 square feet? Oh, no, wait, that's house two. We're, second floor,
second floor of 1791 of the total proposed home is correct,
So first floor and second floor are equal.
yes.
Okay.
Because the one sits directly on top of the other.
So you only, from the existing number, which is 1746, you've only gone to 1791?
From the first floor. Yes, because we're only adding,
Okay, because my understand, when I look at this survey and I look at the photo,
no,
the-
first floor, we're adding
that,
that.
okay, what are you adding on the second floor?
That's what I'm saying. My number of the existing second floor is incorrect.
what should the number be?
That's hard to like understand. Okay, so can you, what
I
should the
will
number
tell
be?
you, I'll tell
Okay.
you in one moment. Let me just
Okay.
figure it out.
While you're figuring out, I need someone to take a pen and mark up SP1
Yes.
to show me what is being added on the second floor, at the front and at the rear. And we're going to mark that as an additional exhibit, because I have no idea where this second story addition is taking place.
Exactly.
It's not shown on SP1, or any of the other plans for that matter.
Can I ask a question to you, Gail, to the board?
Sure.
If, Joe originally asked about it if it's more than 50%. If it is more than 50%, does that change it to a D variance?
No,
So it's no difference?
no, I don't know, you know, right. That removal of more than 50%, that's an issue for whether or not they get to rebuild in the event of a fire or some sort of damage, that kind of thing. Here, what we're understanding is the exterior walls are not coming down. That's
Well,
what
from-
we're understanding.
But not.
It sounds like there's
my-
going to
let
be
me
some
say from my-
changes on the
I
second floor.
can't cite a case, but from my point of view, because I haven't researched it, from my point of view, there's an existing home on the property. The exterior walls of that existing home are not being expanded. There are two houses on the property now. I don't think if an appeal had been taken, and there was no appeal taken in this case, I would have taken the position that there was no variance required. But
For two principal structures on one lot,
that's right,
just that
for
variance.
two principal structures.
But
on
clearly,
one-
this dwelling is being expanded.
No question about it.
And exterior walls would need to be removed if there's an addition to the second floor.
Yes,
I don't know, you know, that's a construction issue from my standpoint. I don't know where they're adding it, you know, what's happening. If they're removing exterior walls or adding, you know, exterior walls in an area where there's no exterior wall right now, that sort of, to me, seemed what Mr. Keller was suggesting, that they're adding second floor where it doesn't exist yet.
Are we concerned here with FAR? Is that what all this is
No,
about?
not from my perspective.
Then why is there any of this?
I care
Meaningful.
only to know where an addition is occurring on the second floor. Because somebody's gonna come in and have plans and come to Eileen and say, is this consistent with what the board approved? And she needs to know what we're approving, because I'm not even really sure what we're approving in terms of a second floor addition.
Well,
We've heard, you know,
but we don't sit here to approve.
we're approving
But
a
how can you
variance for a
approve
second
if you don't
floor
understand
setback of 8.3 feet that the planner testified is being expanded because we're adding mass. I don't know where that mass is being added. It's already a two-story dwelling.
I thought,
Where is the
Why
mass?
does it make a difference?
here,
No, it's,
in the little cutout
it makes a
area.
difference because
It's not. That's on the opposite side. Mr. Keller indicated it's on the right side of the property where the pre-existing non-conforming side yard setback is of 8.3 feet. On SP1, it does not appear that any sort of addition is taking place on the right side of the dwelling.
It's not being expanded
Yet
on
the
that part.
testimony is that there is
On
on the right side of the property.
So it's
Can you
on,
tell by looking at that there is something happening on the right side of this dwelling?
no, only, you
No.
can only tell on the left side.
Correct.
Also, the entire back on the second floor.
Now, if you look at the SP1 that we had, and the SP1 that we're doing today, the SP1 that we're doing today doesn't have the porch. It didn't get picked up.
Doesn't have what? You have to speak up.
It doesn't have the porch on the left-hand side. And my understanding was that the second floor was being removed, which is why the second floor.
I was gonna get to that, on my drawings on the SP one, it says there's gonna be for the entire house, a new roof and, a rebuilt second floor. And I believe that that's the confusion why the old was not, drawn in. But the existing second floor is approximately 960 square feet, which is about 700, so there'd be approximately 700 square feet additional.
Wait, the existing second floor is how much? This is on the split level house?
No, it's a two-story house.
Well, I'm
That's
looking at your plans, SP1.
Yes,
Where am I going to put this 900 and something square feet? On the zoning table.
oh, I'm sorry.
It says
Yeah.
split level
Yes,
house.
because it's two levels.
Split level house.
Yes, right
Second
underneath
floor.
our second floor is 960 square
Instead
feet.
of 1,672?
Correct,
900 and what?
60.
Okay. And then the addition on the second floor.
Is 831 square feet.
Which brings us to the correct total listed there, 1,791.
Which, as I testified before, including all the square footages of both residences and the garages,
we are still only 11.7% and 26% is required.
Okay, now I see that you've drawn something on SP1 in terms of the addition over on the
Yes.
diagram. Now, what is that you've crosshatched?
That is where the existing second floor is.
So anything outside of that crosshatched area is new second floor addition?
Correct.
Okay, I would like you to mark that page.
We have that as A1 on.
No.
Oh,
I want you to mark that as A4,
Exhibit A4
Exhibit A4,
with tonight's date.
with tonight's date. You already have A1, which is the original set of plans.
okay.
And I want you to pass that sheet up to us, just that one sheet.
Can you also correct the total? Because now the total changes for the split level house.
No, the total remains 1,791.
First floor and second floor, they added them up, right? The total row, the third row in split level house, that changed, the total changed.
The total, correct.
The total needs to change, right?
Yes.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I do too.
On that one, right.
Okay, you could just pass it to Ms. McNett, she'll pass it around to us.
I have another question. I think I know this is not an FAR issue, but it is related. On your drawing A2 from the original package, I think, I don't know if you have it there, it's the, I guess it's your elevation. So your height changed, right, in the new. Do you have an attic floor drawn anywhere?
Oh, I do not.
'Cause what I'm actually, I'm
Oh,
trying
wait a
to,
second, let me see, wait a second, I do have an attic floor.
oh, you do, okay.
Yes, I do have an attic floor, page A4. On page A4,
That's the new,
the old plan.
the old plan.
And on the new plan,
So what you have outlined, is that, what's the, like height?
that is with a 6-foot perimeter height.
So how much is considered habitable?
Well, there's two different
Yeah, I know
numbers.
one is a building code, I know, and one
And
is
I
not,
believe, what is it, 6.5 or 7 feet is considered habitable.
So here's existing, here's the
And I
existing
think
second
building
floor.
is 7, if I recall. And I use
That's
6
the
foot for the
existing.
zoning for this, for today's.
So is any of it above 6'6"?
No, but it's in the back, so.
The middle will be about a foot in from each of this will be,
Habitable.
7 foot, yes.
So isn't that supposed to be included in the FAR?
No, your attic center.
Or not if it's less
Not if it's
half
less than
of the-
50%.
Are there any other questions for either of these two witnesses from the board members? Anyone in the audience have any questions for either of the two witnesses? Counsel?
I would just, in summation, just say that, yeah, the applicants are here tonight because they would like to propose this renovation to their existing home. The hope is that they can age into their home and they can also see fit their accommodations that they'll need as they get older. Thank you.
Eileen? If the board's inclined to grant variance relief, do you want them to submit a revised SP1 depicting all the correct information and also depicting the existing second floor as well as the addition to the second floor? Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who has a statement he or she would like to make with respect to this case?
Do you take that?
I'll close the public portion of the meeting. Board members, we have essentially a new case here because the building height, which frankly was the sticking point with me, has been eliminated, that variance. And we're not going to solve the issue tonight, but in my judgment, this case did not need a variance for two structures on one lot, but our attorney feels otherwise. And in any event, let's assume for the moment that two structures on one lot is one of the variances that's required. The driveway location, the extent of the variance sought is 1 foot, and the second floor setback variance is 13.7 feet. In my judgment at least, the location of the house next door, which is normally what you look at when you're looking at that particular variance, is, the testimony was, I think, 106 feet away. Hardly is going to be affected by a 13.7 foot variance. And in any event, this house currently does have a second floor. Probably the variance is much less at the moment, but from my point of view, it doesn't make much difference. We've heard the explanation as to the rear yard unoccupied. I think to a large extent that variance is required, not only because the house is set back so far on the property, but also because there's an existing barn back there as well. But I'd be curious to hear if anyone on the board has a different view or wants to express their view on these four variances. Yes, Mary?
I don't have a different view, and I agree with what you said, but I'm very happy to see that the house is going to be preserved and not torn down, and it would add to the differential in the housing stock from what has happened on the other end of White Oak Ridge Road toward Parsonage Hill.
Is there a motion with respect to these four variances?
Move approval
That is subject to submission of revised
of
plans?
revised plans.
Yes.
Yep.
And do we have to note about the 4 foot?
That's right.
That's the variance
Yeah,
they're
but-
getting, 4 feet. They're gonna have to
Yeah.
revise the plans to
Yeah,
reflect
okay,
that.
just to make sure that that was added.
So there is a motion, is there a second?
A second.
I haven't heard a second yet. Is
I
there-
second.
Good. Want to call the roll?
Mary McNabb,
Yes.
Jody Sharma,
Yes.
Joyce Siegel,
No.
Steve Toger,
Yes.
Wolfgang Torres,
Yes.
Jessica Glad,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. For those of you who might be getting nervous, we are going to reach the other three cases. Next case is 29 Bailey Road, Daniel and Andrea Cannon.
Cannon on the owner.
Andrea Cannon.
Ying Li, Y-I-N-G, last name Li, L-I. L-I.
Now, in all fairness, I think I know this board pretty well after all these years. So I think that you have a bit of a challenge here. You have an oversized lot, a fairly substantially oversized lot, and you're seeking 7 variances. In my experience on this board, very seldom do we ever see a case with 7 variances being requested. So I, for one, am all ears, and I'm sure other board members will be as well.
And you need her credentials.
Yes,
Oh, my name is Ying Li. I have my Bachelor of Architecture degree from Tongji University in Shanghai, China, and also have a city planning degree from University of Pennsylvania. I am a MCARB member and received architecture license in 2002. I have been practicing architecture design since 1999, and I started my residential practice in 2008 in Millburn.
You're licensed in New Jersey.
Yes, I'm licensed in New Jersey and New York.
and your licenses are in good standing?
Yes.
Proceed, please. Your credentials as an architect are accepted by this board.
Okay. The addition, basically the project is to seek a 2-story addition at the back of an existing 1920 structure, single-family home, originally built in 1926. The proposed addition on the first floor is to propose a family room and kitchen. And on the second floor is a master suite, and the back of the kitchen, the family room, and propose a patio. I'm gonna, yes, as you mentioned that we do add up 7 variances. I'm gonna go over, as in attachment E, go over all of them. The first one is the generator. The second one, additional side setback above 18 feet. That one, the majority of the addition, as you see at the back, I guess the best picture to explain that variance is actually the A201 at the back. Elevation, as you can see, the addition part, it actually it tapers back because the roof line. So the variance that's being seeked above 18 really adjusts to the existing structure. Existing structure, we are not changing the bulk of it. Instead, we're basically modifying the current rather vertical structure of the roof line. So we keep the same roof height. So that's the reason for the variance about setback above 18 feet. The addition itself at the back, which is this shaded area, it has the roof, I guess that's the picture, you see on the roof plan 103. The addition itself, it tapers back from the side setback. So the 18 and above variance really address the existing part. It's really applied for existing part of the house. We are not changing that, the bulk, except that the existing roof line has a rather quirky segment as such, and we are changing that. So with that one, Eileen and I had a discussion whether this constitutes separate variance. The fact that we are making the segment in the roof line straight constitute that we are changing the existing structure, the roof. but we're not changing the height. I have existing pictures of the house. One thing you can see that, you know, it's instead of a typical
Are
A-frame.
you marking that into evidence?
Yes, I guess that's
So you
correct.
have two pictures, how
I
many?
have, yes, those basically, I took these pictures to show the context of this house.
I'm asking you, do you want that marked into evidence?
Yes,
So that will be A1, that sheet with two
Correct.
photographs?
correct.
Do you have other photographs that you want to
Yes,
introduce?
okay, yes, all right, so, the A1 shows that instead of a typical A-frame structure, the existing roof, for whatever reason, it's segmented and give it the house sort of quirky, sort of like a transformer look. And,
Okay, so let's,
around.
Mary, would you mark that as A1, please? It could be on the back, it doesn't matter.
And if this can mark it as A2, shows in detail the existing house. On the streetscape wise, this does not fit into the typical house on the street. It's rather quirky with very complicated, unnecessarily complicated roof line. So we actually make that A-frame. So that variance is really because I'm changing the segmented roof line into a straight A-frame to simplify it, to make it more consistent with the rest of the house on the street. And then the second picture on the A2, it just shows how dated this house is. It has very small kitchen, has very poor natural lighting, and there's no connection between indoor and outdoor. Basically, it definitely needs to be modernized to fit any family's lifestyle. So that's A2. And the third one, I guess would be called A3, shows the house in the neighborhood. This is the picture taken from their backyard toward two houses down. They are similar. Basically, the houses on the same street, or most of them have undergone similar addition with two-story addition at the back. And this house actually is right across their backyard. And again, that's what most family are seeking. They have a larger kitchen and a family room on the first floor and a master suite on the second floor. That's the context of what this house is in. This will be the A3. So that will answer basically the second item of the variance, additional side setback above 18. On the on the attachment E, on the FAR, yes, we are seeking. I think the main reason of this is the existence of a detached two-car garage. In the R6 zone, by its pure square footage, we are not adding a lot. It's the existing two-car garage that made it difficult not to make a sensible addition without violating the FAR. So that's my explanation for the third item on attachment E. For the similar reason, I have the building coverage, which is about a little less than 1% off, and the lot coverage as well. And the patio, we tried very hard to keep the patio as small as possible. And that's basically the minimum. During the design, pretty much you have to do the economic design to figure out what's the smallest turnaround for a chair behind the dining table. This is basically the base of the design, and then design from inside out to make it as small as possible, but still functional, and then make it viable for the homeowner. So I would say on the attachment E for item number 2, 3, and 4, and 5, they are they have similar nature due to the existing detached two-car garage. And the next one is the rear yard unoccupied. Yes, it's the attached two-car garage, and we tried to maximize the surface of we eliminated a certain existing walkway to keep that number down as low as possible. And the last one, maximum accessory use coverage, again, is really the consequence of that, the consequence of the existing two-car garage, which we're not making any modification. As my, in the process of the design, my goal is basically, even though we are proposing, there are 7 variants in the design, but the main goal is to keep the scale, to keep the character of the house, to be in line with the character of the neighborhood. I believe it will be a big improvement to the streetscape on Bailey Road, and besides, in addition to apparently adding the property value to the homeowner and to the town. And at the back, the back of the elevation, basically certain maneuvers were made to break down the scale of the addition, to avoid to make it intimidating. Yes, and thanks for the consideration and the visiting the site.
So let me see if I understand what you're talking about. You want to change the roof line essentially to bring the house more in line with the streetscape of the other houses on the street, right?
Correct.
Take away a lot of these odd angles that you have.
Correct.
In the roof, which seems reasonable. You need to do the extension or the expansion just to bring the house up to date, so that it's more of a 2019 livable home with a more reasonable kind of kitchen, more livable living space, and a better flow from room to room, so that it's more in line with modern architecture and the way people live in houses today.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so the issue, of course, is that these variances are these small little variances. And so the question I think that this board will probably have for you is, is it possible to make any minor adjustments without materially changing your goals and objectives of the house and alleviate some of these? Or you could say, no, you can't do that, because if we start cutting here and slicing there, everything's going to get out of balance and it's not going to look right, and we're not going to achieve the living habitat that we want. So that's kind of, I think, where,
yes.
So that's where I am on it.
Yes.
And I don't know where anybody
Yes.
else is.
Yes, those two are very valid questions. I think the challenge on this project is really I have to design inside out, sort of almost have to put a typical dining table in, and to see, or couch in, to see how many space I can maneuver to make that family room. For example, if you look at the first floor plan, on the first floor plan, on this side, at one point we had the idea just basically had a straight line. By doing that, I think I will lose, the character of bringing the natural light into the house. And the window or door will be substantially smaller, and I probably will not be able to fit, I guess, one couch is all I can fit, rather than say I will have a side chair to create an environment like people can talk and have a conversation. Of course, I can make it very small, but by the
by the time it gets smaller, it become whether it's a viable for the homeowner. And also the fact that I did a calculation, if I get rid of this 14 by 3, actually does not remove any of those variances. I did look at that. So it's really pinched it on like a 1 or 2 or 5 square foot, but I get rid of that, I still have the same number. Maybe I have 27 become 0.2 over. Maybe I can round it out and become 1 item less. Yes, that's possible. That will make the family room and the kitchen sort of like a rather large kitchen instead of a family closet kitchen. So that's the balance I've been, working with on this project.
On this, on the plans, I see a concrete walk that seems to cross over the proposed patio to the driveway. Is that concrete walk being removed?
That's the existing concrete walk.
Correct. Is that being removed?
Look, if the owner wishes, we could remove that. Yes.
Well, it looks like it crosses right over the patio.
Yes, because that's, I proposed the drawing overlay under the existing survey. So it cut across, but you can, it's a graphic.
So,
What does that do, if anything, to your
Coverage?
lot coverage?
Yes, correct. I think that will do a little bit. It will help a little bit, because when I
Can you
was,
compute it?
correct, I guess that looked like, I would say that will get rid of 5 to 6 square foot on the rear yard, unoccupied rear yard, and,
More than 5 or 6 square feet.
yes. It will help a little bit. I don't know which item,
Probably not big enough to remove any of the items, and any numbers of the variance sort, but yes, it will help bring the numbers down if we remove that walkway.
Now, this is the walkway that runs along the right side of the home, or the walkway that?
No,
no,
about
we're
the
talking
rear.
about the one in
Just
the
the one
rear.
in the
the homeowner has been using this walkway
Like
to
a
operate
diagonal.
Yeah,
his snow
just
blower.
the one in the rear, okay.
But that's because he doesn't have a patio right now there.
Yes, I think we can remove that with the patio.
So what variances would that address if you remove?
Lot cover.
Yes, the lot coverage and
And maybe a tiny
rear
bit of
yard.
rear yard
Yes,
unoccupied.
yes, rear yard occupied and lot coverage.
Would it affect accessory use coverage?
I'm sorry.
If they eliminate that existing concrete walk in the rear yard?
I
You-
counted the lot coverage.
Lot coverage and rear yard unoccupied, but not in the accessory cover, okay.
All right, are we able to do, can you
Would it-
get a
Oh,
calculator
right
and
now
do the math on that for
Footage?
us?
Okay. That will give us. Basically, it's this portion that's shaded blue.
Yeah.
That will eliminate about a 45 to 50 square foot of hard surface, impervious surface.
So would that make the rear yard unoccupied not needed then? Because it looks like you're off by 30.
Part of it is being replaced by the patio.
Yes,
Right now, the estimate I'm making is only the part
Just the
that's
part that's not
outside the
on.
patio.
Just the
Right,
part,
just the part
Yes.
outside the patio.
and that's 50 square feet?
I would say it looks like a 3-foot walkway across about
An inch at the
15.
It
Yeah,
could be-
3
could
foot
be
wide
45,
across
50.
15 long, so that would say 45,
Mhm.
about 45.
So does it make that you don't need the rear yard unoccupied?
45, that gives us 45. I'm actually not good at math, even though I'm Chinese.
Looks like you're
My wife would find that very amusing.
Okay, so I got
I think it eliminates your rear yard unoccupied
Yes.
variance.
Alright, so
I think it does, right?
45 divided by what's 7144. Maybe that will help. I guess if you round it up, because like 0.1%.
Well, I'm looking at schedule, what is that, the two-sheet one, F? I think it's F. Rear yard unoccupied, you're showing it that the required rear yard unoccupied, the maximum is 1,785 square feet. And you're currently, minimum, and you're currently at 1,750. So, if you eliminate 45 square feet,
Yes,
you will comply and you will
Yes.
be eliminating the need for that variance.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
So rear yard unoccupied comes off.
yes.
And what does it do to,
The coverage.
lot coverage?
Yeah, the coverage, let's see. That actually, yes, that will help as well, because right now,
We have to know how much.
3382 minus 45, right?
yes, because it's 47, 43,
46.7 still.
because right now we have point 0.7. I think that will make it 0.4, and if I round it out, actually that will remove that. I know, I mean,
So that's lot coverage.
yeah, that's the lot, oh, yeah,
Lot
oh.
coverage is 2%.
Oh, yeah, building yeah, you're right. So the lot coverage, I don't know if I can remove that item.
Probably not, but
Yes,
you'll
probably
reduce
not,
it.
because I'm 2%.
You'll reduce.
Yes, I will reduce that, yes, correct. With the building, yeah, that does not help with the building coverage.
No, it has nothing to do with building coverage,
Correct.
you're correct.
So now, how deep is the patio from the back of the house to the edge? What's that? Is that
It's,
16, 20 feet? What
I
is
have, it's 12 feet. 12 feet with 2 feet as planter and step down, because it's two steps down to the backyard.
Oh, okay.
So it's really just 10 feet, because that's when I said, I really have to think about, somebody, the owner can put dining table and a chair, and then 10 is really the minimum. Basically on this project, everything trying to do the minimum.
I think eliminating 45 square feet from lot coverage takes the proposed variance from 47% to 46.7%.
Oh,
I think.
thank you.
I got 46.1.
You did?
Yeah. Because I thought you were taking off 45 square feet, right?
Right, so my math must be
No, I
wrong
don't know,
here.
maybe.
3382 minus 45.
Oh, she did, okay.
3337 divided by
Okay.
7144,
Right.
46.7.
So then it's still 47, 48, 47 then.
Well,
rounded up.
I wouldn't round it up, I'd say 46.7.
Which
Yeah,
makes the
4%.
variance 1.7.
Yeah, it's better.
It's a little
It's-
bit of an improvement.
Yeah, it's better.
Do you know how big the existing garage is?
Existing garage, it's there.
It's big.
Yes, it's big, that's the thing, 360, so it's 18 by 20. Yes, that's actually, I designed a couple other houses in this neighborhood, in this zone with similar lot size. In this house, is this two-car garage, that's basically just the old numbers.
Does it fit the two cars?
Yeah.
It does?
Oh, no,
we don't put our cars in there, one's a minivan, one's a, it might fit two cars.
You have to stand up at the microphone.
Why don't you answer the questions?
When we first moved into the house in 2003, we had two standard
cars.
vehicles, and it fit both in the garage.
But we use it more for, we have two children, we use it for bicycles and all that stuff, so.
They use that to store their snowblower. I have to mention that Mr. Cannon is the scoutmaster, and then in Millburn Short Hill, Pack 17, and he is the one who blow the snow for the neighbors, for the elderly or people who are sick. So he's the hero on the block.
So you're the guy who was waking me up.
Give me your address, I'll do it next time.
There's one concession, and we, homeowner, have been discussing right before the meeting. We can make is that if say we have too many, is because the addition right now veered to the left, we were trying to make room for the generator. If the homeowner is willing to eliminate the need for the generator, I also can potentially move that, addition to the right side.
You know what I'm going to suggest? There's a conference room in the back. Let's take the next case, and why don't you take a few minutes to go back there with your clients and see what the best is you can do.
Basically to reduce the number of...
Including what we've already talked about. Anything else that you think you can reduce? Either reduce the variances or eliminate them. But we'll take you tonight, but why don't you take, while we deal with the next case, why don't you take a few minutes back there to sit with them and with your calculator?
Before you do that, I'm confused about the generator because it looks like the proposed set, I thought my note said you were seeking a variance to have a 2-foot setback, but it, 8. Oh, 8?
8. Yeah, I'm sure it's an 8.
Maybe I just
Well, I'm
wrote it
looking
wrong.
at the,
Yeah, you know what, I think it didn't, I'm sure it's 8.
It says 8, yeah.
Yeah, I think the way it was very faint and maybe it appeared as a,
Okay,
yeah, it is 8, but because it was a carbon, and so it does, when you look quickly, but it is definitely an 8.
Okay. So it's 8
it's
foot,
what?
8 feet, not 2.
not 2.
Well, mine says 8 feet.
Yeah,
There's
8 feet.
a compressor, an air conditioner compressor right next to it, right?
Yeah, that's why
Yes.
I questioned, because I was like, that looks like much farther than 2 feet, so I don't know where I got that from, 2 feet.
Does that make sense?
Okay, yes, we're gonna convene at the back while you take the next case, yeah.
Can I say something now or after?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we've been living in this house since 2003, and my wife is the CEO of the household. I work in Morristown. I've been active in the community, as we mentioned, Scoutmaster, Troop 17, Little League, did it all. As my kids grown up in this house, it's quite frustrating. This house, it's quite small. It socially, it impairs my kids' ability to actually have friends over. We have a little sunroom that's in the first corner there. It only holds me and my wife. I have a Archie Bunker style chair, and then my wife sits right next to me on the couch. But it's quite frustrating because they have nowhere else to go other than their bedrooms. We'd like to have a standard sized family room on the first floor. I personally would not want my daughter upstairs with her friends. Neither do I like my son upstairs unattended with their friends. I want to give them their privacy, but at the same time, I hope the board would consider that this house is quite frustrating. I can't afford to necessarily move. I can afford this project, I think. So I'm just asking, for some consideration there on these variants. I don't think it's necessarily the number of variances. I think it's more of what the
The variances are bringing not only to the house and its functionality, but also to the value of the community. I don't think it's going to be any way detrimental to the community whatsoever, in my opinion.
Let me respond this way by saying that I think the board is reacting two ways. One is the sheer number of variances, and number two is that some of these variances are very, very small.
Right.
And it sounds like with a little imagination, you might be able to get rid of it.
Yeah, we just gone through so many renditions of this because of
I'm sure.
how small it is. So we will certainly take this break and confer, but thank you very much.
Great.
I have a question about the generator comment. I'm confused. Is there a desire to eliminate the generator?
So
They're gonna talk.
Okay, well, I really think that the generator in these days is something that people really are
yeah.
in need of.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, I
Never
think
came back,
they're
yeah.
standard like air conditioners, and I would hate to see that be eliminated because of some little percentage.
What is the ordinance, ordinance, I mean, for the generator, is it 12 feet?
12 feet.
Line
12
or
feet
from
from the
nearest
property
neighbor's
line.
house?
to the property.
Oh, it's from the property line.
My question was, or my point was that there's currently an air conditioner compressor there, right?
Different setbacks requirements.
Okay.
Right, but you're right, it is going where the AC condenser is located.
And they're gonna go right together, so there's already kind of an existing,
We were trying to create a little area like a utility room in a house. We were creating a utility area outside.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is anybody here on that application? No.
Okay, we're going next to, let me make sure that, Lieberman.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a comment
Yes.
here. So I know the Lieberman family, our daughters are really good friends, but I don't think that should impact my judgment. So I just wanted to make it for the record that.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I do. Alan, A-L-A-N, Lieberman, L-I-E-B-E-R-M-A-N. All right, so basically, we have a non-conforming lot, and I want to modify my existing patio. I also have a corner lot, which leads to a lot of other issues. About a year ago, a little snowstorm like we had recently, a little heavier though, took down a lot of my trees, a lot of the bushes and everything else. So we decided to bring in a landscape architect to get some ideas to see what would be the best way to fix up the backyard. My plan wasn't really to do anything to the patio at first. He came up with an idea which seemed to make a lot of sense to us, which was, if you look at the plan, you'll see that our house, we have a little covered area on the side of the house where where my grill is. Right now, the table, the living area is all in the back of the house. My kitchen is on the side of the house. Everything flows from the kitchen to the grill. When I'm out there cooking, I have to take everything to the back of the house. So what they came up with the idea is, why don't you bring the living area over to where the grill area is? So basically, what I'm doing is I'm really removing some of my patio and just putting it in a different place in the backyard. Everything, I guess, was non-conforming to begin with when we bought the house, and all we're doing is, we're actually shrinking it a little bit, but again, we're infringing on setbacks and some of the other ordinances. So I don't have much more to offer than that, because that's really all it is right now. We need to modify it. The stones have had their useful use already. They need to be replaced, so they have to be replaced one way or the other.
Could you just give us a little more color on what these two pictures are supposed to represent?
Okay, that's the actual gate that takes you into my backyard.
Okay.
And then the other one shows you the fence, so you can see it's a solid board fence. Well, actually, there's rhododendrons in front of them, so you can't even see into the backyard. That's what I was trying to explain also in the paperwork. You can't see into our back, well, I guess it's considered my front yard because I'm a corner.
The second photo is from the outside of your property.
It's the same, it's standing in the same place, just one is showing the gate and then one is standing a little further
very good.
over,
Okay,
so now
to the
you can
right of the
see that
tree.
there's no view into the backyard.
Okay.
So anything that we're doing, we will be moving some of the patio over, but it will be behind that fence and those bushes, you won't see anything.
Can you explain what that, I'm looking at the Halsey
Yes.
survey with a red outline going on there. What does that mean?
The red is where the new patio is. That's what we're doing. There's existing, right now, is what's coming out. So the red is what we're showing you is the actual added. So if you look on the, I guess you would call it the front side of the pool, we're bringing some of the living area over there.
So, if you look at it this way, the portion of the patio that's now to the west of the pool, that's going away.
We're reducing that down to the, right to the coping.
Right to the right, okay. And also, the portion of the pool that's a little...
Well, that's not the pool over there, but that's the backyard.
Sorry,
right.
patio. Portion of the patio that's, you know, to the south of this
Correct.
red line is also going
That's
away.
all gonna be removed,
Okay,
and that's gonna become grass.
okay. What about the existing paver walkway?
That's gonna go out also.
That goes out also?
That little square area that you see, that little, that stays. That's
The thing that says
basically, yeah,
concrete?
that has to stay,
That
right.
stays, okay.
But the walk that gets you there right now, we're gonna make all grass,
Okay,
and some of the paving stones that are there right now, just, I mean, it's hard for me to,
okay. And this, all this flagstone,
that's
this all stays?
that's there right now.
That stays, right. And then you'll be accessing it through this...
I mean, that's gonna be pavers now, it's not gonna be flagstone.
Okay,
It's,
got
that's
it.
what's there now.
Right. And you're gonna be accessing this all through this doorway?
No, actually, we access it from the other, right there. There's a
This
door
door.
right there, that's where my
Can
kitchen
I
is.
see where you?
Yeah,
Sorry,
Yeah.
I apologize. So the idea now is that this area is gonna be accessed through this doorway.
Well, that's how we access it now.
That's how
We
you
hardly
access it
use
now.
those back sliders because that's going through the dining room. The kitchen is right where your pen is right now. So we go out of the kitchen,
Right.
my grill sits right there, and then I would, basically, my guests would all be in the back.
Right.
I'd be cooking, I bring the food to them, then I come back to the grill, then I bring the food to them.
So all
So
this
I'm not
goes-
really with the party is what it comes
All
down
this
to.
goes away, all
Yes.
this goes away, all
Correct.
this goes away up to that square. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
So at the end of it, I think, I'm not sure what the exact number is, but it's, I don't know, 30, 40 less square feet.
Okay, so I have a couple questions
Sure.
because, but I want to make sure I figure out where I'm getting my numbers from. Since I messed up on the last one on that one. On page 3 of the application. Answers to number 10. It says accessory structure front setback 80 feet is required. We will be about 50 feet. Accessory structure side setback 12 feet is required. We will be about 9 feet. We can't have any abouts, like when we grant a variance, we're gonna grant you a variance for a specific number. So, when I look at your attachment E, it specifically says you're looking for 50 feet front yard setback, okay, that's what we're gonna grant. You indicate an accessory structure side yard setback of 9 feet, but I think Eileen's report indicates 5 feet. Proposed is 5 feet. So, I'm trying to figure out whether it's 5 feet or 9 feet.
Which one was it, say, which,
The side setback for accessory structure
right,
side
the
setback.
side setback. I don't know where,
The only figure I can figure out is like,
Part that juts out.
juts out,
That's what I'm gonna.
right. And I also wasn't sure where you pick up from the fact that there's existing there now. That's less than those numbers, so I wasn't sure what's supposed to go there. It's existing.
Is that right, but you're pulling.
we're taking that away.
Okay. So you want the closest point, even though it, okay.
Yeah, I have 5 and my, this here.
Yeah, that's gonna be the closest point right there.
I
That's
think
not
that's-
quite, no, that's about 8 or 9 feet right there. Because the existing one right here was 5 foot from the existing.
I think I don't know if I have this edition. I don't think it's going off of, this,
So that area right there,
yeah.
that's gonna be the closest to the back.
Did he use general language in his notice?
Yeah, it doesn't have the numbers, it's fine.
But the thing, the drawing could be increased.
We don't know if this
It's not
drawing is
really
to scale.
It's not, you can tell it's not.
No, actually.
The survey, the Halsey survey.
The inch equals,
This one is the scale.
Yeah.
It's on the plan.
Is that the scale right there?
Not to scale.
No,
But this is not to scale.
That will be the scale, actually. I think when I made the copies, that's not an 11 by 17. This is bigger than an 11 by 17.
but an inch
Kept it
equals
to scale.
20 feet.
So that should be
Yeah,
the scale
everything
too.
else is scale.
2, 3, 4. I don't think so.
Well, 1 inch equals 20 feet, and it says it's 50.5 feet to the
This
curb.
says it's 100. Where'd you 50.5?
Right,
Oh, this.
50.15.
Yeah, but if, so if that's an inch, it's about like that. I don't know how to scale.
Me neither. It could be close.
It could be, but if this is 100 feet, then that doesn't make sense. That's
It's not
100.
100 because they don't go count on the curve.
Oh, so then it could be. Then it could be right.
It's more like 115.
Then it could be.
Eileen, I think this could be, the Halsey survey might be to scale.
Pretty sure it is. When I tried to keep it that way.
1 inch equals 20 feet. So look at that front, look at the front yard setback, 50.15 from the front property line to the garage on Keene Road.
It's approximately, it's 8 feet.
Yeah, it looks bigger than 5.
8 feet. So that's what the variance should be, 8 feet.
8 feet.
Where are we looking?
Here, we're looking at this.
No, but which of these variants?
The
One that says
accessory
about
side.
9. Should be 8.
Oh, the setback should be 8 feet instead of 3 feet?
Should be 8 feet instead of Eileen's report that says 5 and their request that says 9.
Oh,
This part about
proposed,
the
okay.
extent of the variance, yeah.
So it should be 5,
No,
No,
it
8.
should be 8.
8,
Eileen's
instead of
report,
9, all right.
yeah,
And that's that part that
It's
juts
like
out
with
there.
Bailey.
right,
Correct.
looks, yeah.
Yeah, got
That
it.
actually looks like, well,
Does
yeah, the
look-
scale looks a little
yeah.
more than 80.
Is it 8?
But the bottom line is, it's not gonna be able to be any closer to the side property line than 8 feet. That's key for you.
That's not a problem.
Because you won't get a certificate of approval if you're closer than 8 feet.
We'll make
The
sure.
board is
No,
inclined
we can easily
to
take care of
grant the
that.
variance.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from board members?
So will attachment E be updated then?
Well, no,
No.
because that's mine.
Yeah, we can just identify the variance as 8 feet.
Anyone in the audience have any questions for this witness? Anyone in the audience have a statement they would like to make? Close the public portion of the meeting. Board members? Comments?
I think it's reasonable.
Yeah.
I think it makes the house function much
Yep.
better. Obviously, it doesn't function all in.
And they're willing to give up, portions of the patio where they don't need it.
I think it's less coverage in the end,
Just-
right?
Yes.
So that, to me, that's a positive.
I can support it.
Your motion.
Move approval?
Second?
Second.
Is that Mary?
Yes, Barry was the second.
Mary Cat?
Yes.
Jody Sharma?
Yes.
Liz Siegel?
Yeah.
Steve Tober?
Yes.
Kathleen Curtis?
Yes.
Jessica Black?
Yes.
Susan Frank?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Did I get the,
What do we have? One more case?
One more.
Which is Dorset Lane.
should I give it an option? So I don't get behind that thing?
They'll come back when you're
He'll
ready.
come back.
All right, this is Saperstein and Lorber.
Yes. Joe, I should also put on the record that I know the Saperstein-Werber family through my oldest daughter, but I still believe that I could be impartial in hearing the application.
Great.
It's okay.
I do. Beata Shachilo, D-E-A-T-A,
Wait,
S,
B-E-A,
T as a Tom A,
mhm,
Shachilo, S as a Sam, Z as the zebra A, C-I-L-L-O.
L-L-O.
Yep.
All right, keep your voice up, please.
Okay, I'll try. I'm an architect. I was granted master's degree in architecture in Białystok Institute of Technology in Poland. I came here, I got my license first in New York back in 2005, and then in New Jersey in 2015. I've been practicing architecture in this country since 1993, purely residential, mostly residential architecture. My client retained, and I also testified before the board before.
Before this board?
Not before the Millburn board, but before
before
other
other
boards
boards.
in New Jersey, yes.
Your qualifications are accepted.
Thank
Is
you.
your license in good standing now?
It is.
Okay. Your qualifications as an architect are accepted by this board.
Thank you. So my clients retained our firm because they wanted to expand their house. The project was quite big, and we very early in the planning phases discovered that we will need a variance for the front porch side setback, and we decided to divide it into two phases so they were not held up by the variance while they could pursue the addition on the back, which actually already got permit for. So today I'm here only for the phase 2, which basically will require variance for the side yard setback for the extension of the front porch. The way the front porch was designed was to expand along the entire facade of the front of the house, because this way we could achieve more balanced, architecturally pleasing effect, and I'm very happy to show it with the elevation. Contrast by contrast. In general, the whole concept was not only to expand the house, but also to make it pleasing and nice, give nice space. A lot of flowers, trim, and the massing of the house. This is the existing house, the way it exists. So, because we wanted to align the proposed front porch with the side of the existing building, and existing building is already like existing non-conforming when it comes to the side yard setback on that side, that automatically put us in the category of seeking variance for the side yard setback for the front porch. Required setback for that porch would be 15 feet. Existing house is 11 feet 6 inches away from the property line, and the porch will end up being, although it aligns with the house, will be 10 feet 6 inches away from the property line, because property is pie-shaped and the property lines kind of come closer to the house when you come to the street. Which in our opinion also that kind of created a little bit of a hardship. The main objective, as I mentioned, was to make the house more pleasing and well architecturally balanced, which will basically bring a lot of value, and it will impact positively the streetscape of the street and also the neighborhood. Considering that we already have existing side yard nonconformity, this one-story porch extension will not really create substantial detriment to the public, nor to the surrounding properties. And I would like also to show you the pictures that actually were added to the application, so all of you have it in your packets. For this here we have different on the sheet, so it's easier to point to. And
But these are the same photographs we have in the package.
So this is the house, my client's house, 5 Dorset Lane. The porch will, this is going to be reviewed with a portico, and we want to extend it closer to align with the side of the house. As you can see, when you look towards the neighbor, which is at 9 Dorset Lane, this extension should not really have tremendous impact on the neighbor. It's quite far away, plus it will face the garage. The other side, the other neighbor is not going to be impacted by it at all. So that's all.
Are there any plans to ever enclose the porch?
No.
There is existing shrubbery now on the, between this house and the neighbor's driveway.
Correct.
Is any of that going to remain?
If possible, the chances are that during construction it's going to be damaged. However, I'm sure that my clients will be happily restoring any shrubbery if necessary.
Is that your client?
Yes, Julian Scott.
Let's have him come to the microphone, please. No, the applicant, please. Yes.
I do. Sure. Scott Saperstein, Saperstein.
Mr. Saperstein, are you prepared to replace some shrubbery to the, I don't know what direction that is, but
Sure.
between...
Side yard,
the-
sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Between the end of the, yes, the end of the proposed porch and the driveway next door?
We are.
And at what height?
Whatever height pleases the board. I think currently now there are 2 holly trees right there. So they're not large, tall trees.
not
They're probably
large, tall
about,
trees, but they're in the vicinity of 10
yeah, I would say
15
7
feet?
to 8 feet, yeah.
Something like that?
Yes.
Would you be amenable to replacing some evergreen shrubbery there, at least 8 feet in height?
Absolutely, yes.
At the time, 8 feet above the ball, at the time it's planted?
Sure, absolutely.
Board members, is there anyone in the audience who has any questions for either of the witnesses or a statement he or she would like to make? Apparently not. I'll close the public portion of the meeting. Board members? Comments?
I think the extension of the porch will actually make the house more visually pleasing.
I would be in favor of the application with the condition that at least one evergreen be planted after the conclusion of construction between the edge of the end of the porch and the driveway next door. Is there a motion?
Move approval
With that condition?
With that condition?
with that condition.
Second?
Second.
Mary McDevitt?
Yes.
Judy Shawna?
Yes.
Sarah Siegel?
Yes.
Steve Coder?
Yes.
Walter Defer?
Yes.
Jessica Black?
Yes.
Joseph Stone?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, board.
Good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now you can go and see if they're ready. Yeah, ready or not, here we go.
No, you can take that with you. It's the same as what we have in the package. While we're waiting for them to return, I took a quick look at the annual report. And the one thing I wanted to question you about and suggest that you think about is, you know, we've talked about the change in the steep slope ordinance and how it has a very, a different effect on properties, on larger properties, because it's 1,000 square feet of property that's got a slope of more than 20%. That means if you have a 6,000 square foot lot, you can only disturb 1,000 square feet. And if you have a 29,000 square foot lot or a 50,000 square foot lot, you can still only disturb a 1,000 square feet. So we've talked about this a little bit in the past and suggested, that might be something, that the Township Committee should think about, because it really has quite a dramatic effect on larger properties. So I just offer that to you for your consideration if that's something you want to include in your report. Okay.
Yeah, well, you've got one paragraph working, so now you got two.
I mean, if everybody agrees, obviously.
I agree.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea. Okay, now, let the record show that we're back with the application of the Cannons at 29 Bailey Road. And did you have an opportunity, Mr. Cannon, to discuss this matter with your wife and your architect?
Oh, yeah, I think we were squeezing everything out of this lemon right now.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So Ying is actually going to walk us through. We eliminated a few things. One was the back walkway there that we already discussed. What we decided to do over here, maybe Ying will just show this feet. Here, describe what we did here was we had concrete that kind of went through the house, kind of eliminating that concrete, putting more grass structure there. Also, and you'll go through the variance in a sec. And lastly, in the back there where all that blue is, kind of just putting the AC unit and the generator more on a freestanding pad versus maybe all concrete. That will no longer all be concrete. What we'll do is going to the rear entrance of the patio in the back. We're just going to put stone pavers, creating more greenery instead. So we're just trying to squeeze it out. I'm going to turn it over to you for the math.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So basically, the goal of this is either to see, first of all, if we can eliminate at least one or more of the items of variance. The second goal is if we can't, can we alleviate this extent we are, seeking. So with that, as I mentioned, that as far as the FAR and the building coverage, when I work inside out, I know it's pretty difficult. It's not viable to cut a building. So I'm focusing on the lot coverage, rear yard occupied, the two items. So one, basically, we figure out that there are three areas we can do certain things. The first one, we get rid of this, get rid of the, slow blower passage, and that will give us, we call this zone A. Right now, what you see, the blue is where we want to turn the hard surface into grass, into green. And the area B, because one challenge of these houses is the driveway and then their side entrance, they are the opposite side. So that created the need for a lot of walkways. That's the thing that makes the lot coverage unique in this house. Usually, you have the driveway and you have the side entrance, the basement on the same side. In this case, we've been talking, can you get rid of this? They can't, because they use this multiple times a day. That's just the nature of the existing condition of the house. So the walkway, one thing I propose is the walkway from the back side entrance to the backyard, instead of currently it's hard surface, I propose to turn that into grass, but instead you put stone paver as a stepping stone to go back. And then we calculated, that will give, this zone, we call that zone C, that will give us about 72 square foot. That basically will bring 1% down in the lot coverage and the rear yard. That will, lot coverage, bring a 1% down. And this, we call that zone A, that will bring us down a 0.6% down. And another area is the existing driveway has this shape, sort of trapezoid. We can make it just exact, size, the width of a walkway. That will give us, another 0.3% more grass. when I say percentage, 0.3% of the lot area. So by doing that, what it does to the lot coverage is it will bring the lot coverage down. Okay, we have 0.3, 0.9, and 1% here. That actually will bring down the lot coverage to conforming, because we will have the 2% will become basically conforming. That will keep us. Right now we have 1% here, 0.6, 0.3, so that's 1.9% down. By giving more grass, by doing really little things here and there, landscaping work, we will bring down, we will eliminate the lot coverage. And the rear yard unoccupied, understand that not all the blue will be counted as alleviating the rear yard coverage. So with here, 45 square foot, here, about 15 square foot, we will bring down the rear yard unoccupied for 2.2%. So I guess if you round it off, I think we can eliminate that as well.
I thought that.
Yeah, the rear yard is already eliminated by that 45 square feet
Oh, okay.
at Zone A.
Well, good. Yes.
But I have a question for Eileen, because what I think I'm hearing is they're gonna replace some of this walkway on the side with
Stepping stone.
paving stones.
Yes.
Stepping stones, I don't have an issue with, but if you're gonna replace the entire, I don't know what it is, concrete?
I think yes, it's basically a paver. Usually it can just by 12 by 12 or 16 by 16.
Right.
It's just on grass. The construction wise, what they do is they just seed the side, the perimeter. Actually, what they do is they put the gravel down where the stone will set, and then they just seed or saw the area where there's no stone. So I know that in many municipalities they just literally just count the grass as the grain, and the stepping stone, if I use 12 by 12 or 16 by 16, right now I'm using 12 by 12. And then this is the green, and this is the impervious. So
Is it like a grass pave kind of thing?
it's basically just, if you see a lot of landscape design pictures, you just basically impervious, either bluestone or concrete paver on top of grass, on top of lawn. Instead of walking on grass, you literally basically.
Because basically, the paver, I mean, for the purposes of our ordinance, we consider gravel driveways, pavers, whether they're made of brick, stone, concrete, or similar materials, are considered paved and
Right.
or impervious.
But you're counting that in the calculation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
she's
Right now, when that happens, okay.
No,
If
she
you
is
look at the
saying,
drawing,
no, she's not. What she's saying is she's going to replace an existing walkway with these paving stones set in grass. And Eileen is saying those paving stones count towards impervious coverage. They're
You
still,
counted that.
they're
She
still part of
counted
lot
that.
coverage.
Yeah, she counted
Oh,
that.
you're still
Yes,
counting,
I'm counting
you're
that.
counting
Back
that
that
as,
Yes,
as
right.
impervious.
Correct, as impervious.
Just not the grass
So I'm
around
trying-
it.
trying to-
Yeah.
trying to say that.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
basically, I'm
Just
cut
not the
out-
grass
I count-
around it.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I'm counting.
So your
that
lot
pavers
coverage
as
is coming down to conforming.
Yes, I think the that will bring the lot coverage down, yeah.
So you're eliminating at this
Two
point
variants.
two
Lot coverage
variances,
and rear
lot
yard.
coverage and
And
rear
rear.
yard unoccupied.
Yes, correct.
And are we keeping the generator on the side at the 8-foot setback like we had it? Just to
I
confirm.
think the homeowner would like to keep that.
Right, I just wanna make sure
Exactly
we're
this
keeping it
space.
right where it is, same side as the air conditioning condenser.
Right.
Perfect. That probably makes sense from an installation standpoint, because it's probably where your electrical utilities come into the house. And, if you haven't already talked to somebody that does generators, they're gonna care about that.
Yeah, it's on the right side of the house with our main utility room.
Exactly.
And
Mhm.
you can see the chimneys there with the furnace is
Right.
all on the right side of the house.
Right, okay. So we're down to FAR, building coverage, side yard setback over 18 feet, which is an existing non-conforming condition, accessory use coverage, and generator setback.
finished with your presentation?
Yes, correct.
So what about the additional side setback? That's still,
That's one, it's, as I explained, actually.
That's the
it's
roof
more,
business?
Yeah, the roof, it's really.
Just straightening it out?
Yeah, to straighten it out, because if we didn't have to do that, we wouldn't have had that. Yes, it's sort of, yes, actually existing non-conforming, you know.
and using those square the rocks that you're putting or the stones you're putting, do you think in snow time that won't cause you any inconvenience? Because now instead of that whole walkway, you just have those stones and you just have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah, it's driveway.
I'll just use the driveway. I just have to dig out my car, move my car up, and just take it out the main driveway like everyone else. I just went around all the time. It's.
I have those in the
I
backyard.
would
You learn
like-
where they are, you learn exactly where to put your feet.
Let me see if I can help the applicant out here a
Yeah.
little bit. There's something that struck me that has not been mentioned yet. And that is because if this is in fact a hardship case, and to some extent it is, this is in the R6 zone, is that right, Eileen?
Yes.
And if I'm reading this correctly, the minimum lot width in the R6 zone is 60 feet. This lot width is 50.69 feet. So, am I reading this correctly?
Yeah.
Correct.
I think the lot is 144 by 50.
It's a 50.69-foot lot
Yeah.
width.
Lot width.
Yeah,
So your lot width is 10 feet less than it should be. There's nothing you can do about that.
No.
That creates a hardship.
Yes.
And it creates a hardship, especially with respect to.
The side yard setback.
Yes, the side yard setback for the roof and also the setback for the generator. And I think that it's important to get that on the record. Because that is the primary hardship in this lot.
So I'd like to submit
You don't
an
have to say
application. Thank you. I can say thank you.
And I think there are the two other hardships that were pointed out, the very large garage and the fact that the house, the service entry is on the other side of the driveway. I think it makes it complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that conclude your presentation
Yes.
at 9:45? There's no audience except a young gentleman sitting in the back.
That's my
Do you-
son.
That's your son? Okay, I thought it was. So there's no audience to ask questions or give comments. I'll close the public portion of the meeting. Folks, let me hear what you want to say.
I'm happy to see that the applicant was able to eliminate the lot coverage and rear yard unoccupied. I know that it's still a bunch of variances, but I, completely agree with whoever said that, we need to have houses that are up to today's living standards, and, I feel it's almost cutting off your nose to spite your face if you want to get rid of so many variances that at the end of the day, you don't have a livable house, so I could fully support this application.
And if you look at neighboring houses, similar things have been done. I mean, it's with those shapes a lot, with those kind of dimensions, it's pretty.
There's a house immediately to the right.
Both sides.
On both sides, really.
Yes.
Especially the one to the right.
Yes.
Has a very large rear addition to it.
It seems like the depth of the proposed addition is more or less about the same as the two sides. It
It
seems
is.
like it would be fine.
Well, clearly we need some new plans submitted so that's got to be a condition showing the changes that have been made, that have been verbally agreed to and proposed by the applicant. But with that condition, is there a motion to approve the remaining are these
5 variances,
And they're all Cs, right?
correct, no, FAR.
Oh,
So you wanna
yeah,
do
the
the FAR
Yeah,
first?
We ought to do the FAR first. Now, remember, folks, the FAR requires 5 affirmative votes out of 7 members. So is there anyone who would like to make a motion with respect to the FAR?
Move approval of the FAR.
Second.
Mary McKenna,
Yes.
Judy Sharma?
Yes.
Greg Siegel?
Yes.
Steve Coder?
Yes.
Stephanie Price?
Yes.
Jessica Glad?
Yes.
Jessica Jones?
Yes. Now, the remaining variances, again, these are all, both of these motions are subject to
The revised
the
plan condition.
revised plans to be submitted. So we now have the generator setback, the additional side setback above 18 feet, the building coverage variance, and the maximum accessory use coverage variances. Is there a motion with respect to those?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mary McKenna,
Yes.
Judy Sharma?
Yes.
Greg Siegel?
Yes.
Steve Coder?
Yes.
Wolfgang Torres?
Yes.
Jessica Glad?
Yes.
Jessica Jones?
Yes. Good luck with the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who has a matter to bring before the board that is not on the agenda? I think the answer to that is no, since there is no audience other than the people involved in this application. So, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
No. I have a comment on the report.
Yes.
What I hear in the community is that we approve everything that comes before us with rare exceptions. And I think that it might be helpful in the report if we can state that.
It's there.
Oh,
It's there already.
Okay, I didn't see it.
Joe puts
Yeah.
usually at the end saying that, because like in this case, yes, we did approve it, but we also whittled down a lot of the.
But maybe to Mary's point, if we could get that right in the table, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right there in the table.
I think that will be a,
Well, that's really hard to do.
Just an adjustment made during hearing.
Yeah, even if we don't
Well,
specify what the adjustments
I think
were.
that's helpful, because what people would do is read the tables and they see
Approval based on
Yeah.
reduced, you know. right,
Yeah,
plan.
like just like an
Mary,
asterisk, you know.
Let me read this paragraph if you don't mind.
No, we want it in the table.
Finally, the statistical report of the disposition of cases heard by the zoning board in section 4 must be understood in the following context. There have been over the years applications presented to the zoning board which have been withdrawn when the applicants had, quote, read the tea leaves, end of quote, and sensed that the application would likely be denied. There are also been many applications which have been significantly altered to request fewer variances and or less expansive variances in response to comments from members of the board. In other words, the term approved, while literally correct, can be misleading. Often what is approved, in quotes, is not what the applicants initially submitted in their application.
That's well said.
And that's been there the last couple of years. Because I hear that too.
When I read the chart, like.
Yeah, I think I can put something together that'll.
Like approved with modifications.
Initially, so, you know,
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Turn off your microphones and remember what this young woman has said to us, that we continue to be recorded for how long, 5 minutes after?
Yeah, give or take.
Whatever. All right, so don't say anything that you wouldn't want your spouse to hear.
So I had to, just.
That was directed at you, young lady.
Well, it's funny, I